Gabrielle, like Axon is got a very visual employer brand, a very visual product, a very visual HQ. If anyone go and Google the Axon HQ or offices after this, like it's Star Trek vibes, super cool. But you guys have done a really good job of, I think even pre-COVID, like taking that aesthetic and that like the appeal of what you're all about to all having like these insane Zoom backgrounds, and so you look like you're in a spaceship. But beyond the kind of, let's call it slightly more superficial parts of employer branding, what are the things that Axon are doing well to make sure that gets across, to make sure the right people come in the door in the first place?
So I didn't know much about Axon until I started, so I'll just give you a really quick elevator pitch. So it's a software company that literally focuses on public safety and technology. And so the three main things that we do is we produce non-lethal energy weapons. You would probably hear them as tasers, body-worn cameras, and camera division, so like drone cameras, cameras that you can mount to dashboards, cars, etc. And then our drone cameras, and so we call that Axon Air. Over the top of all of that, and really where the substantial and exponential growth of the company is the software as a service. Cool. What do you do with all of that data that's coming into a body camera on a police officer? If you don't actually have like the markers on the video, you have no idea what to do with it. Like that's just a ton of data in the cloud. Like, okay, does that help the judiciary process? Are we making sure that what happened in that equation or that incident was non-biased? Was it fair? Like, how do you actually really break down what happened and provide truth and transparency? We were chatting earlier today as well. Like, the mission and vision of the company could not be more paramount when you talk about non-lethal use of force, in particular in the great state of Texas this week, which is a really, really sad thing that has happened. I have really, really, really been a huge proponent of having that employer brand because it's a really phenomenal, impactful company that a lot of people don't know about. And so you can see a name, you can see a logo, you can see kind of like a company name, but it doesn't really give you that, well, why should I care? Can I see myself there? Can I actually see the time that I spend away from my family and investing in my professional career? Does it mean something? Or am I, spending the next 50 years of my life and then I'm retiring off into the sunset? I don't know about you, but I really love the idea of having a legacy on the world. And so with Axon, it was all about taking those stories, taking that legacy, taking that impact, and turning it around so candidates could see themselves there. And so everything that we have really done and touched and built out on that brand is, hey, we want to tell stories through the eyes of our employees. Like, what does impact mean to them? Why are they here? And one of the things that I'm blown away by is we don't really coach up our teams with a script of say this, don't say this, here's what you do and here's what you don't. But naturally and really organically, everyone starts saying the same thing. It comes down to values, it comes back to impact, and it comes back to, hey, I want to do more good with my talent. So it's a long-winded way of saying it actually has to be those planful things that showcase your technology, that you do those blog posts, you do that recruitment marketing, but it also organically has to come out through individual interactions with your interviewers. You can't make that up, or else candidates will suss that out. And we have so many choices. People want to authentically be where they want to be, and you just have to show them that.
I will say for big tech, the one thing that they have that isn't the strongest suit is they adapt very quickly. So if I think back to the early days of Google, it was like a playground, right? Like if you think of offices, it was there to delight college kids that were super smart coming out, and it was like, hey, dry cleaning, free food, you got shirt. The whole point was like, you didn't need to leave the womb too much, right? Like we take care of you, everything's taken care of. And then I think I was there while the population aged, and then suddenly it was, hey, what about paternity? Like, okay, now we're at the age where paternity is an issue. So I think like as these companies grew, they started setting the standard of what that excellence and interaction could be, to the point where then we have a pandemic and everyone's at home, and now it's like, okay, what are the standards that we need to uphold now? A lot of companies, including LinkedIn, went back to values. It's back to, hey, it doesn't matter that we're apart, we're connected through something else. And I think that's fundamental to this iteration of change. The world is not going back to the way it was, where office is the answer. Most people that are surveyed on this said, I'd like to go to the office when I want to go to the office, but when I don't want to go to the office, I don't want to go. Imagine saying that 20 years ago. right? The world has changed. These companies keep up with it, and then they optimize for that, and then that's what we see that spreads, is that optimization.
And I actually don't think people are spending enough time thinking about how you actually now nuance culture in this new like hybrid environment. People want to, those are the devils in the details. Candidates, they want to know like, what's your culture? I have had so many questions on what's your culture like, because there's a genuine concern. I'm like, well, how do I fit in if I'm in Nebraska, or if I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, or I'm in Seattle, Washington? And so I don't know that even ourselves, I don't know that we're actually really diving into like, what is our cultural value prop that we can better craft and articulate to our candidates and candidly our employees too.